All right, Big Mag, today is Thursday. It is May 25th. Welcome to the Dog Walk, presented by Barstool Sports. I'm here out of New York today. I'm joined by security guard Mike, one of my favorite people at the company. Mike, it's been a long time coming, but I'm glad to have you. Thanks for doing this.
I'm glad to be here. We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. I'm glad it came true.
Yeah, we did. So what have you, I know you did an Ado show, right?
We did a do show. Yes, we did it right in this room.
Right in this same room?
Yes.
Yeah, so obviously Jeff does a great job. But I one of my things is I've talked to many different people throughout the Barstool world, and, you know, from people in marketing and people in sales and people in social media. So I kind of just like to go down the gamut. So it's great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
So so Mike, NYPD to Barstool, is that just about as dream of a scenario, or is it like whatever, it's still a job?
No, it's not just a job. This is something that we never thought we would be involved in. We feel like we're the luckiest people to have attained this contract, and you know, we don't take it for granted.
Yeah. So go get behind the scenes a little bit. So you were a New York cop for how long?
I was a cop for 27 years.
27 years?
Yes.
And you're from Staten Island?
I'm from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Later on in my life, moved to Staten Island about 2003.
Okay, cool. So you was that your only job, or did you do some before that?
You know, I had jobs here and there. I worked in a hospital, but I knew it was a nowhere. You know,
Yeah.
It was a dead-end job, so took the police test, and as soon as I was called, I took the opportunity.
How old were you when you got on?
21.
21.
Yeah.
All right, so that was your job.
Yeah.
That was your career, your profession. So then you retired 27 years later.
Yes, I did.
And was it like always you knew you wanted to start? Because this is your company, right? If you want to get into that, the whole security company is yours.
Yes, it is. I partner up with Pat.
Okay, Pat.
Pat and myself, we own the company.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you made this company, and that's pretty common, right? For
a lot of
cops?
times guys who are on this job, they make their connections throughout the years, and when they leave the job, a lot of them tend to go the security route, the private investigations route. It's just an easy transition from being a police officer to that field.
Okay. And so what are your other cop friends that maybe aren't in your company? What do you like? What jobs do they have? Are they?
I mean, there's a
retail
lot of
stores
different
or something.
No, not really. A lot of guys have opened up, also small security companies, or they work for security companies, or they do driving jobs. A lot of them do armed escorts, private escorts for celebrities.
Okay.
And that type of job. It all stems back to the job of like the security realm.
Yeah.
It always seems to be in that world. Where after this job, you kind of like have an easy transition into that. It's just something that a lot of guys do.
For sure. So how did your company get into the Barstool world?
We were contracted for an individual job. It's a funny story. It was when the New York Islanders were playing the Boston Bruins. And Frankie and Stu were doing live streams out in Borelli's bar.
Yeah.
And a couple of nights got a little crazy, and the stream was kind of getting interrupted because, it was just so hectic. And the fans were going wild, and they said maybe they should bring in a couple of guys to just organize the crowd so that the stream doesn't get interrupted. So we were contracted for that on an individual basis. It was just that. And then as the series progressed, it went through Game 7, and we started becoming friendly with a lot of the Barstool people. And when Erica decided to bring in security full time, they called us in, and we interviewed for it, and the rest is history.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So when you first got that call to work that bar game, were you aware of what Barstool was at all?
I was familiar with Barstool, but I wasn't a follower like I am now. Obviously.
Yeah.
So I had, I have heard of Dave. Obviously, the pizza reviews was something that I was aware of, and I was familiar with a couple of things here and there. But when we got the call to come do it, I said, there's no way, we're turning it down, even though it was a 3-hour drive for us.
Yeah.
We got in the car and we trekked to Long Island every night, and we were happy to do it. And it turned out to be a good decision that we made.
Yeah, no, that's funny
definitely
how that all worked out. Who was getting crazy that night, Stu?
No, it was the crowd that was like Stu was going crazy. Of course, it was a high stress game. We went to Game 7, so the crowd was getting fired up, And they had a couple of little barriers there, but they were like overtaking the barriers, and they were like getting interfering with, it was getting a little unruly.
Yeah.
So they just made the decision to bring in a couple of guys to organize that, and it just happened to be us.
Yeah. So then that leads into you are traveling on the road a lot, right? And your whole crew is manning the front door here at HQ.
Yeah, we always have somebody at the front door, but the travel is gets a little more intricate. Wherever Dave and Big Cat go, all the live streams, all the college football shows, the dozen, we do it all.
And what other kind of jobs did you have before this? Were you was there anything quite like are you allowed to speak on what kind of security jobs? I know you said you did a lot of armed escorts, but were you doing like celebrities and stuff like that as well, or no?
Well, the only we were doing more private investigations, and then we just had started getting into the security world. But as I told Jeff, we were I worked years ago for Hugh Hefner. Mm-hmm. So Hugh Hefner was somebody that would come to New York periodically, and we worked directly with him and would bring him around the city and do things with him. But as far as the security aspect of it, we would get hired for jobs here and there, but we hadn't really broke into the security world until Barstool.
All right, we're going to take a quick break from the show to talk to you about our favorite sponsor, one of the best sponsors we have, RHOBACK. They're really committing hard to dog walk. We appreciate them, and they're just the best stuff. For RHOBACK activewear, best fit, best feel, the quality, the comfort, the material, everything is top-notch. Even that logo. Who doesn't love a dog besides Ed? Everybody loves a dog. It's a great little silhouette dog logo. So fresh off of a restock, the most comfortable performance joggers on the planet. These are the ones that I wear. White Sox Dave never takes them off. They're incredible. You're not gonna want to miss out. They're functional, versatile, comfortable. These joggers check off every box. At date night, you wear the joggers. You're lounging around the house, jogger. So RHOBACK, they have everything. The performance hoodies are quite possibly the softest hoodies we own. I've worn them to bed. They're that soft, but then you can wear them out to the bar too. That, like we said, everything they have is versatile. And if you pair that performance hoodie with the jogger, you're going to be looking incredible, feeling incredible. So make sure you're going to RHOBACK to check out the summer collection. Father's Day is right around the corner. Get your dad looking cool. Get him set up for the golf course. They have those sweet Chicago polos. They got the hats, like I said. They got all kinds of stuff that you're going to want to get your dad looking good, feeling good, just like you. And you can do that by going to RHOBACK.com. That's RHOBACK.com, and use the promo code DOG for 20% off your first purchase. So it's a deal, and that's 20% off of all performance hoodies, joggers, polos with that promo code DOG. You can't beat it. We love RHOBACK. We wear it just about every day. White Sox Dave's walking in right now. He's wearing RHOBACK. So again, RHOBACK.com. Promo code DOG for 20% off that first purchase, and get ready for the summer. All right, and now back to the show.
Okay, and that private investigator, that is one of the I've always been fascinated by it. I actually had the creator of that show Cheaters on the show before.
Oh yeah, it's a great show.
I love that. You know what I mean?
Is it real? I never know.
I mean, they say it is. I don't really know.
I always thought when I watched that, it looked a little scripted.
Yeah. I mean, you would know more.
Yeah, I mean, some of it was just so far-fetched. I was like, listen, it's great entertainment.
Yeah.
But I always wondered how true it was.
Yeah. I mean, you've been on stakeouts and shit. Do you enjoy being on a stakeout?
Doing that was what propelled us into the security world, because it's so difficult and so time-consuming, and it's just, anyone who does private investigations knows what I'm talking about. It's a long time in your car, sometimes by yourself, long periods of time. You can't leave the subjects. You can't leave. Going to the bathroom is a problem. Anything that you have to do is you can't leave, because the second that you leave, rest assured the subject is going to come out and walk out, and you're going to be screwed. Do
you have a situation where that happened to you, where you went to go get a water or something?
No. Everything's in the cooler. Everything's in the car.
Yeah.
If you got to go to the bathroom, you got to use a bottle.
Yeah.
It's the way it goes. It's unless you have a multi-man team. But if you're doing it by yourself, that's what you have to do.
So what kind of stakeouts were you doing? Could you get into that at all?
Sure, absolutely. We were getting hired for, obviously, everybody, the investigative world is a lot of cheating spouses.
Yeah.
So we were hired on multiple occasions to follow around husbands or wives, depending on what the suspicion was, and report back to the person who hired us to tell them what the person was up to.
How many times out of 10 were the suspicions valid?
Most of the times they were valid.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like if a spouse, boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever it is hiring, getting to the point where they're going to hire somebody, they pretty much know, and they just need validation, and they need to see it. And even then, some of the people don't believe it. I've shown photographs to people, and they're like, I don't know, is it him? You sure it's him or her? And I'm like, yeah, it's him. That's him for sure.
You saw it, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that awkward? Is it hard to tell people what you've seen? Or
I hated doing it.
Yeah?
I didn't like doing it. I felt like, that was the nail in the coffin, and potentially breaking up a family or whatever situation they were living in. It's not an easy thing to do. So, but you're in that field. You're taking those jobs. You have to do the job.
Yeah, I mean that's you're quite literally the bearer of bad news every time.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Sometimes, pretty much every time, I would just pray that it didn't.
It wasn't.
The
valid.
suspicion was incorrect.
How long is a standard stakeout? Like if they're like, go check it out. Like, will you give them a week, and then it's like, hey, nothing happened in a week. Like you're good.
It's usually up to the client.
Okay.
After a week, you could definitely get an idea of what the person's up to, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's instant. The first place they go is where you suspected they were going to go.
And is your company, is it contracted off of like a certain amount of days, or is it you pay in full regardless?
So you when you talk to a client, you have to have a conversation with the client, and you can do it two ways. You can give them a contract where you say, this is our minimum, we're going to need to do this, and but Pat and I, we would work with people, and if it took one day, it took one day. We weren't going to milk them for, you can listen, in this world, it's discretion. You can string along a contract for as long as you want, but we never worked that way. We reported immediately what we saw. Of course, there was ways we could have made more money by telling the person we have to follow them, but that's not how we worked. Mm-hmm. There was another contract right behind that always, so it wasn't. We didn't do that, and because of that, we would get referrals, and through word of mouth, we would always get more work because we were handling our contracts and our clients honestly.
How many of those do you know about? Like do you just know like a bunch of PIs?
No, when we started doing it, we got all our licenses together and we started to advertise, and then you just wait for the phone calls to come in. Yeah. I mean, but we did know people, but that had nothing to do with it. Anyone who has an investigatory background can get into that field, and do the job as long as you get your licenses according to what state you're in, and then you put your name out there and you wait. But word of mouth is the best advertising. Yeah, I feel it is.
Dude, that's such an interesting job. I've always thought like, man, in a different life, I would have loved to kind of do that.
It's in theory, Ed. Honestly, it does sound like it's exciting and stuff, but it is, when you are. I'll just give you a scenario. Let's just say a woman calls you and says, my husband is up to X, Y, and Z. I want to know. So okay, we'll usually get a little information, a basis on what we're going to do. The person comes out, he goes to work at 7 a.m, so you're out there at 6, you wait for the guy to come out, you follow him to his job. Now he goes into his job. 8 hours, 9 hours, he don't come out.
Yeah.
You want to see where he's going afterwards, but the wife wants you to see if he's going out for lunch, if he's dipping out of work. So you're there. So you could be there for 10 hours before anything happens. Think about that. It's a long day sitting in your car by yourself. You constantly have to watch the door. If you have a two-man team, if there's multiple exits, you have to have a person on every exit. It's not all what it's cracked up to be. I know what you're saying. When it starts going and you start to file and it starts getting, the meat and potatoes of the job start to come through, yes, then I can understand what you're saying, but it's not all glory.
Okay. Now, besides the cheating spouses, what else was a common job?
We would do a lot of we started to get into, like, this is not what set out to do, but we started getting people calling us and asking us to go find their kids who have fallen to drugs. And like, these people came from normal households, and they, you know, your typical family where, you know, you would never think something like this would happen, and they would call us and say that my daughter fell to drugs. She left the house. We know where she is, you know, what area she might be in. We want you to go get her and bring her home. Now that sounds like, you know, it sounds like a pretty straightforward assignment, but who's to say if you do find the person that they want to go home?
Yeah.
So that's when it started to get tricky. And we started doing a few of those jobs, and we were succeeding. So we were getting referrals for that. And I found myself going all over the place trying to do these jobs, and it started to get very, very hectic. It was getting crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's because when something like that happens, I'd imagine it's a pretty helpless feeling as a family. So if you know someone who's going through the same thing, that's the automatic referral. Like, there's probably no amount of money or nothing, no length that they wouldn't go to get someone like you who's going to go get them and retrieve them. You know,
when it gets to a story like that, when you're going to bring back someone's kid who is falling apart through no fault of their own, through addiction or something like that, there's no price that these families wouldn't pay to have their kid returned home.
See, those ones on the opposite side are pretty depressing. More depressing, I would assume.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you a couple of jobs like I'll just go in for instance one particular job. The people were actually from Staten Island, very nice family. They said they said their daughter was messed up on drugs. She happened to be out in California in the Tenderloin district, out in in California. It's an area where it's like fell to drugs. It's just like a couple of blocks where it's a free for all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. I haven't, since then I have never been back there, but I don't know if they cleaned it up. But it was just SROs, which mean like they're buildings where just people rent rooms by the week. It's just a room, and like on every floor there's a bathroom.
Yeah.
So everyone's just living in there, mostly 99% all drug addicts, and it's just a very depressing area. And we had a client that was there, and they asked us to go out there and get her and bring her home. If that was not possible, to bring her, they had a rehab set up where it was a type of rehab where you couldn't leave, like you were not free to leave. So they would either bring her home or put her in there. And we went there, and it got very, very hairy, and it was quite dangerous. We succeeded in the job. I can't believe it. It was just very, everything fell in our favor. But it's something that was very difficult to do, very dangerous to do, but it worked out.
Was that the most sketchy situation you've been in?
That for that type of job, that was. We had to, we flew out to California. They gave us an area where she would be. We went there, and we found her. We didn't find her right away. We started, putting a couple of dollars out on the street to certain people to try to give us information, showing photos. One guy who wanted to get paid told us where she was. We went there, and the front door there was a security guard, a gated door. You had to get buzzed in. Like three-story building. Something very undesirable place. It was just zombie land. And I went to the door. I knew I wouldn't be buzzed in, so I waited till somebody came in. As soon as they buzzed in, I rushed in behind them, and I ran up to the third floor. And then immediately all hell broke loose. They started, they started going to the back of the counter, out of the back of the desk to get a baseball bat. Who was running? They were immediately communicating with each other. They didn't know whether we were cops, whether we were feds, whether we were bounty hunters, whether we were gangsters. They couldn't figure out who we were. And that worked in our favor. They were a little hesitant because they didn't know exactly who we were. And by not identifying ourselves to them, kind of like bought us some time, because they didn't know exactly what. I think if they knew we were private investigators, it just would have been a brawl. Yeah. I think it just would have been, So we got up to the room, and I'm banging on our door, and she's not opening the door, and she cracked the door a little bit, and I got as much information to her as I could to let her know that I wasn't trying to hurt her, and that that I knew everything about her quickly, her family, her mother, her father, where she's from, why she's there, that I'm trying to help. Please let me in. And then she slammed the door in my face, and she said, I'll come down. So what they did was they wound up calling the cops on us. The local police department came, and I had to have like a meeting with them. I had to, with my credentials and prove who I was, why I was there. And that took a little bit. They did their research. They verified who we were, and then they left. And then the girl came down, and she came down with a baseball bat, Ed, and she sat in the back of my car with the baseball bat. I mean, she was really strung out at this point. She had the baseball bat, and she's like, "I'm gonna crack you in the head the first sign that you give me that you're trying to take me somewhere or hurt me or anything." And I was like, "Listen, we're here. We're sent by your parents, such and such, and we want to help you." And just trying to finesse her, and we took her for lunch and worked, and then we called family that lived in California. They came and through all the help from all the everything that we put together, we got her to the rehab, and she checked in, and they were the happiest people on earth. I did follow up with that case.
Yeah.
And she did come out, and she was reunited with her family, but I do not know
how it worked out.
Oh
yeah. Man.
Yeah. I mean, they never called us back, so hopefully it worked out. But I've seen too many try to straighten out and then just fall.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's unfortunate. I mean, but that's a situation where that's kind of happy at the end, right? Like, did you feel pretty accomplished, pretty good about yourself after that one?
I did feel pretty accomplished. It was a great feeling because the family was such nice people, and they were so grateful, and it's just such a great feeling to know that that they hired us, we got the job done, and the girl is getting help that she needs.
Yeah.
And then you just pray that it works out in the long run, but you can never tell.
Jeez, that's all you could do.
Then we had another one where she, same type of thing, but this was in New York, and the girl was in Brighton Beach. And me and Pat had no information where she was, not even to narrow it down. So we just were canvassing Brighton Beach, canvassing. And just as luck would have it, we spotted her. And we did surveillance, and we followed her, and she went and she met up with her dealer, and she bought some drugs, and she was in the back of a building. And we just bum rushed back there, and we grabbed her, and she was not so she was combative. She was fighting us, and we literally it's crazy to say, but we had to drag her into the car, and we were afraid she was gonna start kicking out the windows and stuff but I think she thought we were police trying to bring her to the precinct. But then when we went over the Verrazano Bridge to take her home, she realized that we weren't going to the precinct.
What was going on? Yeah.
And we delivered her home, and that was also a success story that worked out great. So I mean, those jobs were tough, but when they worked out, it was very rewarding.
Yeah, jeez, man, the Tenderloin one's crazy. What did do the local PDs work with? Do you ever reach out to them, or it's easier just to do your own thing?
Okay, so in theory, it's always good to contact the local authority to let them know that you're in the area, especially we're New York cops, so we always felt comfortable in New York because it's easier when if you pull out your ID card, it's easier when you're local. But when you're in another state, you're rolling the dice with the local PD. 99% of the time, they're very cooperative, but you never know sometimes. For some reason that time I didn't let them know we were there. Yeah. Because I honestly didn't think we were going to have such success so quickly.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to take us a couple of days to really find her, and we found her the first day. So I was hoping to find her, and then I was going to, notify them that we were going to try to make contact with this person, and if there any 911 calls came in, to be aware that it would be us. But everything happened so fast, Ed, that we didn't have time, and it turned out that they called the cops on us. Maybe they thought we were trying to abduct this person.
Yeah, I wonder what they thought. I wonder what they're... Yeah.
They just wanted us, honestly. At the second we showed up, everything stopped.
Yeah.
For them. All their business interaction and all their... everything, everybody's coming in and out. Everything stopped for a second. They shut down everything until they could find out who we were.
Yeah.
So after about a couple of minutes, they just said, the guy's like, you're not going up there. And I was like, I'm going up. And I ran past him. And when I ran past him and went up the stairs, that's when I could tell that it was either going to go two ways. It was either going to go where we're going to be in a brawl here, or they're going to call the cops. For us, thank God, they called the cops.
That actually worked out for us. Did it shot you?
You know, in that scenario, no, we're armed, obviously. Yeah. But
are you wearing a vest?
I was not wearing a vest, but I should have been. I had my vest. Again, I didn't think that it was stupid of me, but I had my vest in my trunk.
Yeah.
I didn't have it on. I shouldn't be saying this. My wife's going to kill me. But I didn't have it on, and that is something, listen, crazy things have happened. Once you go into that world, anything can happen, but thankfully it didn't.
Where were you predominantly when you were with NYPD? Brooklyn?
I started out my career in Brooklyn in the 6-2 precinct. And then I went, believe it or not, I went into the mounted unit. I did
what is the mountain unit?
Mounted unit is like horseback.
Oh, no shit.
Where you would you would patrol. My area was at first was Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
And then I transferred into Brooklyn North, but it was I only did it for a couple of years. It wasn't for me. It was just more like a public relations type detail. There was no real police work involved.
Yeah.
There was some protests and stuff, but it wasn't like you weren't doing any investigations. You weren't doing any real police work. So I got tired of it quickly.
Okay.
And the only way you can get out of a unit like that is because they put so much training into you. They spend a lot of money. You go to a whole nother academy, and they're not going to let you out so easily. So the only way for me to get out was to take a promotional exam, which I did. And that's how I got out. And because of where I live, they transferred me. And that's when I got back into the police aspect of my career again. And then it went right back into plain clothes, into the anti-crime world, and then did that for some years. And then I went into the gang unit.
Wow. And
I finished my career out in the gang unit.
Which aspect did you like the most?
Without a doubt, working in the gang unit.
Yeah.
Yes. Not even close.
What about it did you like?
That unit was comprised of like some of the top investigators that they could put together. A lot of great guys worked there, excellent investigators, and they opened up such great cases that took me places that I never thought I would be. And we took down some pretty good crews that were, pretty relevant. And after you put a couple of years into an investigation and it comes through, it's a very rewarding feeling.
Top to bottom.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I actually had McCarthy on this very show years ago.
Oh yeah,
probably like 5 years ago.
Really?
And I talked to him about like the whole gang thing because there's always that theory that once the leaders are locked up, that's when things get really bad on the outside because there's no direction, there's no leadership, and people are kind of just doing whatever they want to do. Do you buy into that at all? Because he's like, I've heard that. He's like, I haven't seen any stats behind it, but do you think there's any credence to that?
My opinion is when a top member of a gang gets taken down in a case, there is somebody immediately right. There's a small vacuum is formed, but I think from my experience, there's always immediate replacement, and it just the wheels just keep turning.
Yeah. So someone's always ready to go, and that's just all there's
I mean, it's no the guys put the work in, and they do tremendous takedowns, and sometimes for the most part it just starts right up again. It's very difficult. Very difficult. You can have a major impact on an area, which we did. We really did have a major impact on those areas that we were doing our investigations. But sorry to say, it's it comes right back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough because there's really the answers are it's just tough to find a really good one.
It's a tough thing, and you put a lot of work into it, and you do a lot of dangerous work, and you like to think that it had an impact, and it does, like I said, but it's very difficult to sustain it and keep it crime free. It's just there's just too many, there's just too many people chasing the same dollars, and it's just very difficult.
Was that the stickiest situation you've been in when you were in the gang unit?
As far as going into some dangerous situations, yes, I will say definitely the gang unit was the most difficult, because in the gang unit you work with a lot of confidential informants, and they know everything, and depending on what they choose to tell you, it could put you into some very dangerous situations. Now remember, when you work with confidential informants, they're civilians, they're not cops. So there's an element of trust that you have to put in them.
Yeah.
They can be putting you into a situation that is extremely dangerous, which they are. But you got to try to do your due diligence, and do your research and your investigation, and try to find out whether or not the information that they're giving you is worth it to put your time and effort and risk your life. Trying to to move on it.
How many times did those leads come up like, oh, this guy's just fucking with us? Is that pretty prevalent or no?
It happens, but not through any fault of the confidential informant. I'll call them CIs.
Yeah.
The CIs that we had, we would vet them, and we would really, if a CI was not productive, or let me put it this way, if the CI was giving information that was bullshit, we wouldn't deal with them. The CIs that we had were so good, they just had their finger on everything, and it all depended what they would want to tell you at a certain time. It all depended how desperate they were.
Yeah. But all in all, 27 years, you enjoyed being a cop?
Best decision of my life.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have ever picked a better profession for the type of person that I am, and I enjoy the adrenaline rush, and I felt it was a perfect career for me.
Do you take pride in being a cop?
I do. I take pride. I to this day I take pride that I did that job.
Yeah. How does it make you feel now then, when it's a profession that, I don't want to say people are dumping on, but it's a profession where people are like, oh, you don't want to do that?
I was always okay. So through my career, there was always people saying like, oh, this is the worst job. This job sucks. This and that. And anyone who knows me on NYPD will always say that I was the biggest proponent for the NYPD. I would always say that this is the best job in the world. You guys don't realize how lucky we are to do this. But the way things are now, I understand what you're saying, and I feel terrible for the generation that has to do police work in the city now because of what they're up against. And it's just, with the involvement with social media and politics, and it's just virtually impossible to really do your job these days without suffering some kind of consequences. It's sad.
Mm-hmm. Because the numbers, at least in Chicago where I'm at, just like the academy numbers and everything are just so down.
It's hard to recruit, because people are being brainwashed, and they're seeing on the local news what's happening. Guys are doing their job, and they're being they're being charged with, sometimes they're being charged with crimes for doing their job. So it's very difficult to recruit on a job like that, because people are saying that's not worth it, and they have a point, to an extent, because now with the implementation of body cams and the public, everyone has a camera, and kind of like there's guys go out there to just try to set the police up, and anything you do is under such scrutiny that I don't blame anybody for not wanting to take the job, and the recruitment is suffering from it. All the major cities are down in recruitment because of that reason. Ed, they don't want to take a chance, and and have to go through the next 20, 25 years of their lives, just walking on eggshells doing this job.
Yeah, I just don't know what the solution is, because there's always going to be a need. There's always going to be a need. So It's like, what do you, do we get to a point where it loops back around? I don't know.
The solution is simple. The cities, the major cities that are being affected by the most crime, they have to change their their local laws that the cops can do their job and not worry about the people that are committing these crimes and being arrested or let out before the ink is dry in the paper. The local jurisdiction has to really change, and they have to keep the people in jail that are arrested for certain crimes, and B, they have to back up the police. They have to back up the police on their policies, which is unheard of these days, because nobody has the balls to really make the step where they're backing up their police, because it's like all the cities are just laying their cops out to dry. Mm-hmm. So think about it. If you came to work every day and you knew that, the overseeing body was, at any point could just turn on you and leave you out to dry for doing your job, would you want to take that job?
Yeah, it's tough to fathom, man.
It's really tough. So it has to be a complete overhaul. Everything they're doing now, just do the opposite.
But in some ways, like, don't you think? Like, I know at the beginning, the body cams was a hot button issue. I feel now it's good for accountability on both ends.
Cops, I think that I always said that you should make the body camera work for you. The body camera could potentially be your best friend in a situation where you get involved in something and the allegation is such, and the clip that they set out to the public is a 10-second, 20-second clip of a job that the cops were on the scene for an hour.
Yeah.
But it escalates to a point and then it overflows and boom, that's the clip that you're going to see.
Yeah.
But you don't see everything prior and after, so it's really unfair to the police. In the when it goes to the trial or something, yes, it all comes out, but the public already forgot about it.
Yeah.
They don't care. They that day they know that they immediately jump into protest mode where they're saying the cops did this X, Y, and Z, but it's not the true story. But that's the hot topic for that day.
Yeah.
Months later, when the trial comes out and it's proven that, but no one cares anymore. Yeah. It's already forgotten. The next thing has already happened.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's not only exclusive to police work. That's true to a lot of cases.
Absolutely.
The initial details, what everyone remembers, and then if someone is exonerated, it's just kind of like, oh well, he already was guilty in the court of public opinion, and that's all there is to it.
And public opinion is powerful.
Very powerful.
Very powerful.
It's very powerful. What about, so going away from more serious aspects of it, what about the stickiest Barstool situation you've been in?
Barstool so far has been great, but we have a lot of things that the public doesn't know about. There's people that make threats to certain personnel in this company that we have to address. When we go on the road, we are in situations where the crowds are overwhelming, and we get help from the local PD and the local the security in the local venues, but for the most part our personnel is on us, and we just have to make sure that our personnel is safe. And we've had some situations where people are just getting out of control, and the crowds are such where it's just it could get dangerous, and that's when you have to step in and make sure that you don't have a situation where people are coming to see a show or coming to see an event and wind up getting seriously injured. And that's where you have to step in and make sure that our people are safe, but the people that are there don't get injured either, because it's a bad look overall if something like that happens.
My favorite was the LA Super Bowl 2021. They were doing the BFFs podcast, and it was Dave and Josh Richards, and they had a bit where they were going to have some TikToker run on the stage and
they never told me.
Charge one of the.
They never told me that was a bit. So the guy the kid got thrown off a stage that was like 7 feet tall, just launched off the stage, and then they were like, no, it was planned. I was like, how am I supposed to know that? If you're gonna do something like that, I'm the one you have to let know.
Yeah, dude.
Because this is exactly why we're there. You can't plan on somebody jumping on the stage and not tell us, because the kid got launched off the stage for no reason. I felt bad.
Oh, it's so funny. This TikToker, you just think, oh yeah, everything's a joke. Mike comes over, full Nelson's his ass, tosses his ass off, and it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, that's we laughed about it afterwards.
Yeah.
But
the kid was okay. So
I said in the future, let's coordinate with that.
Yeah, let's make sure we know what's going on. So everything's been good so far.
Yeah, but anytime you have to, I'm with Dave a lot and Big Cat. So anytime you're with them, you have to be on your toes. You have to make sure, because those guys are the type of guys where it's easier to secure a person when you're not letting anyone get near them.
Yeah.
So think about it. Dan and Big Cat, Dan and Dave want to go out, and they have to do their thing. You have to allow them to get into the crowd, to take their photos, sign autographs. Everyone wants to be near them, and it would be foolish for us to try to stop everyone from getting near them, which would be easier for us. It's like all or nothing is easier. Like, just keep everybody out. I'd rather do that.
Yeah.
Then okay, let everyone get around them, and now you have to try to manage it reverse. It's a little more difficult, but it's, like I said, it's been great. Those guys are gentlemen, and we love what we do.
Yeah, because Dave doesn't he realizes, like, he got to a point where he realized, all right, it's good to have people around, but it was up to him to be like, oh yeah, everything's fine here, like, we're good.
Yeah,
like,
Dave,
he's a little oblivious to that aspect.
I don't know if he's oblivious. He knows, he's smarter than all of us, I think, but he knows, that his business is the public.
Yes.
And he has to allow that. He is man of the people, so he's going to always do the right thing by everybody. But on my aspect, I have to allow that to happen and keep him safe at the same time. So I have to keep my eyes on every single person that gets near him. And I have already lost my advantage because I'm allowing them to get near him. I'd rather keep them away. Yeah. But that's not what the Barstool is all about.
No, and
we understand that. So we have to do we do the best we can.
Because he's great at it. Like, I've been, in Detroit, Greektown, and there's just tons of people just lining up with Michigan mini helmets and Patriots memorabilia and stuff.
He's not going to turn anybody away.
No, not a single person. He really won't. So I can imagine you're right. That makes your job a lot harder.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. You work for a celebrity, and they say nobody gets near me today. So that's what we want. We want to just get them through and get them in, get them in the car and get them out. But when I have to walk with Dave from, let's say we're doing a live stream and just to the car, I have to stutter step because I never know. He's going to stop every 10 feet, and he has to do his job. He has to do what he's out there to do. He's one of those guys that will, he's just one of those guys that will never turn anybody down. Yeah. That's why everybody loves him.
For sure.
So, it makes it a little more difficult, but again, can't complain about it.
Have you done any other celebrities?
I did, but I'm not going to really say who hired us because it's just like a little confidentiality.
I got you. Could I just ask if it was like an athlete, music star?
Athletes,
got you.
Entertainers, comedians, high profile businessmen.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So stacking it up, I'd assume Dave is pretty good compared to a lot of people when it comes to people who are saying hello.
Yeah, Dave's working with Dave and Big Cat has been like a dream come true for us.
So what's the deal? You're going to come out to Chicago? You're going to do some time there with us or what?
Yes, definitely. So the Chicago office is opening up soon, as you know. It's your hometown. You're looking. Yep. I know you're looking forward to that. So I've already coordinated with some local police and some guys that I know in Chicago. Got them all in line. They're all ready to go.
Oh, all right. So
I'm just waiting. Oh yeah, I'm just waiting for the word from Erica to confirm everything. We're gonna go out there June 7th for the dozen.
Oh yeah.
June 8th is the dozen. We're gonna go out June 7th, and we're gonna meet. We're gonna go visit the site. We're gonna meet with a couple of these guys, and we're gonna get the ball rolling. We're gonna have 2 locations.
Wow, yeah. That's great because I know you had talked about it before. I didn't know you were already at the point where you had all your guys picked out.
Oh, we're all ready to go.
It's the hottest ticket in town, Mike. Well, I got some of my cop buddies hitting me up all the time. Hey, let me know.
Give me their names.
Let me know what's going on.
Give me their names. We'll put everybody to work.
Yeah, no, that's good. Well, thanks for doing this, Mike.
This was a pleasure, Ed. You're one of my favorites on the show. I always, when I started working at Barstool, I don't know if you remember back in a couple of years ago when I would always say, hey, you have a very unique interview style. Yeah. You know exactly what questions to ask, and you get. When you were doing the show with Dave, you always had a way of like getting him going, which was so entertaining. I commend you for that. You really are a great, interviewer.
Mike, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I honestly, that's the thing too. I feel like we didn't even touch the surface of all this. Like, there's so many things I'd like to talk to you about. So they're gonna boot us from the room soon. You got to watch Dave, so someone doesn't pick his pocket or something. So we'll end it now. But honestly, we'll have to run it back at some point because
let me know.
Yeah, these are great, man. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So thanks, Mike. Thanks everybody for listening. That's it for today. We'll be back on Monday. So we'll see you guys then.
Thank you.